If you had told me coming into 2026 that one of my favorite games of the year thus far would be Pokemon Picopia, I would have told you were insane. Now sure, I made a whole video talking about how I thought Picopia was going to be an elite title that actually could end up being very unique. I thought it was going to be my first ever Pokemon game. Fire Red ended up beating that title. But I think that Picopia is special, and we are seeing unprecedented levels of success with this game. And today, we're going to talk about every single aspect of Pokemon Picopia through my experience and why I think you should buy this game. First of all, I want you to imagine a world where Animal Crossing New Horizons never happened. What would go on in Nintendo? What would happen for the Nintendo Switch if New Horizons did not grace our presence back in 2020, right when COVID hit? I honestly think the Switch would not have reached the heights it has reached. I do not think it would have ended up being the highest selling console of all time in terms of Nintendo's own hardware. I don't think that would have been the case. I think it would have been a very good success, but I definitely don't think it would have reached those heights. New Horizons was huge. I mean, huge. It hit every single type of person and brought everyone together in a time in which no one had anything. No one was able to meet up. Everyone was down in lockdown. It was a horrible time for many. It led to a lot of personal regression in my life, and I can't help but love Animal Crossing simply because of that nostalgia. Looking back, I don't miss a single thing from 2020 except for the amazing times I got to spend in that game. Animal Crossing New Horizons went on to be the second best-selling game on the Nintendo Switch, right below Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in its absurd amount of sales. Animal Crossing is a great game. It was an amazing experience. We were able to have so many great times with it, and Picopia is better than Animal Crossing New Horizons. There is nothing about Picopia that falls short of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Every single complaint that people have had with Animal Crossing, Picopia fixes. Picopia is the ultimate Animal Crossing experience, except with the highest grossing franchise of all time. Now, I'll admit, Picopia would be nothing special if it was a bunch of random creatures that we had never heard of before. The gameplay loop would still be very addicting, all of these abilities would still be great, and it would be an amazing game, because I cannot deny the fact that in and of itself, Picopia is great. But it's the Pokemon that really draws you in. It's the Pokemon that makes this game very, very charming. It's the personal connections that we have all been able to establish with these characters over the years that truly makes this game special. You truly can't escape Pokemon if you are in the Nintendo fan base whatsoever. I had never played a Pokemon game before Fire Red, and yet I knew all about the series. I knew all about the different games. I was keeping up with the narratives. I was keeping up with what was going on, what wasn't going on with some of these games. I know all about Squirtle and Charmander and Bulbasaur, and I know all these random facts and details. What I don't know is the lore, the history, the series, in terms of everything that these games have to offer. I don't know the details, the intricate stuff. That's the type of thing that I've missed out on, and this game even caters to someone like me. This game will be perfect for you if you are a Pokemon nerd, because all of these different Pokemon have all kinds of different lore drops and different things that you can understand through dialogue. But like scrolling through Twitter and seeing all these different people screenshot different things about these different Pokemon and me learning about their backstory, learning about what is going on with these Pokemon to begin with, it's just insane how much detail Game Freak and Koei Tecmo put into this game. There's this Pokemon that has a bunch of mushrooms on its back. It's like a crab mushroom type of Pokemon, and it is in a conversation with Bulbasaur, and Bulbasaur is talking to this Pokemon about how they are going to grow up and how eventually they're going to bloom into these big flowers and it's going to be great. And I initially saw that dialogue and thought, how cute. This is a great game, very wholesome, everything you could expect with Picopia. No, it's dark. This is actually a horrible interaction. I saw on Twitter that crab thing with the mushrooms on its back, eventually those mushrooms will take over its brain and it will consume him, and he will not have any sort of cognition, and he will just be essentially a zombie consumed by fungi. And that is crazy that I am saying that about a Pokemon game, that in this game you will have an interaction between these two cute looking Pokemon talking about what they want to do when they grow up and how they're going to be, and you can do nothing about it. You can do nothing about it but make them as happy as they can be right now in this moment. And that is what Picopia preaches, staying in the moment. working day to day, building up a community, being a family. This game preaches some incredible morals. From day 1 to day 1 million, this game will make you want to cry. In Animal Crossing New Horizons, there were a lot of positive interactions to be had with different villagers that you encountered, but so many of them felt fake. And I don't think, starting Picopia, that I felt any differently about this game. I felt, a lot of these interactions are pretty fake. It feels like these dudes are just here to make me think I'm the best ever and move on with their lives. But really, that's not the case. Animal Crossing is pretty shallow in terms of New Horizons interactions. And I know back on the GameCube, the very first Animal Crossing, there was so much more character to be found in these villagers. The villagers themselves were so much better in terms of their actual character and personality. You could interact with them and they would be mean to you and they would be like, no, I think you're actually a jerk, and say like some crazy stuff. You would never see that in New Horizons today. In Picopia, it's the same kind of thing where these dudes aren't going to go out of their way to hate on you because you are essentially the god of this universe. You are Ditto, and you get to play as a Ditto and be able to copy all these different abilities and make everything the way you want. You can craft this world however you like. And when you interact with these different Pokemon, the Pokemon are very, very kind to you. And it's not until you actually start reading between the lines that you start to figure out that there's something else going on here. They're not just being kind to you. It is a true, wholesome interaction. These Pokemon believe in you more than anything, more than life itself. But they have character, right? Like, I almost don't even think that there are a lot of repeating commentaries between these Pokemon. These Pokemon say unique things all the time. They are interacting with each other, and sometimes things can get feisty. These Pokemon are going to butt heads, especially the bigger ones. I find that those Pokemon will be telling each other the craziest things, like, oh, your horns are ugly, or something crazy like that. And it's like, oh shoot, they did not just say that. Now, in all transparency, I haven't finished the main story, and I don't even think I'm anywhere near close. But what I do know is that I have a good enough amount of time in this game to be able to recommend it to you or not. Anyone who isn't going to want to play this game is not going to make it as far as I have made it. And if you love this game, you will make it as far as I've made it and more. There was a tweet I saw that was talking about the fact that Wind and Waves is coming out next year, Gen 10 for the Switch 2 in terms of the new Pokemon games. Here in Pokopia, if you buy Pokopia right now, like the second this video ends, you rush to the Nintendo store and you buy it and you get it digitally and you start playing right now, I promise you, you will have enough time and enough content to last you until Pokemon Wind and Waves comes out, probably holiday 2027. You will have a full year and a half's worth of content to play with. As long as you don't get tired of the gameplay itself, you will never run out of stuff to do. This game is massive. We talked about $70 and how this game was going to be worth it or not worth it up to its release, and boy, is it worth it. This is an $80 game packaged in a $70 box. So many people were comparing this to Minecraft, and I was as well. You see the block design. I think Minecraft and Animal Crossing was the combination I used most frequently, but honestly, Dragon Quest Builders is the game that this is most similar to. I didn't play that all on its own, but I did play a demo back in the day, like 2018, 2017, when I first had my Switch. I got obsessed with a demo of Dragon Quest Builders. And so when I played Picopia, it was like taking myself back to those days when I got obsessed with that demo. And I never bought the game because I created this huge, massive world in the demo all by itself, and I didn't want to leave it behind. Except there's a really big difference between this game, between Dragon Quest Builders, which I don't know fully about, and between Animal Crossing New Horizons and Minecraft. Those games all have a pushing drive, and that pushing force to keep you playing, to keep you going, is your own creativity, is your design philosophy, how much you want to interact with this world and change it and shape it to your liking. That drives that type of crowd. Picopia does more. Picopia drives that crowd, makes that designer and you want to go crazy, wants that creativity to come bubbling up to the top and overflow and just go bananas. But the difference here is that this game has a quest line, and you will follow this story as far as you want, or you don't even have to really do that. You can just stay in your first starting area, the Withering Waters area, or whatever it's called, and play there forever and make that area your own. You could literally take this entire area and spend hundreds of hours designing in it. Now, of course, the game will push you to other areas, and there you'll get even more unlockable abilities, which will make your gameplay experience overall more intuitive and more fun to play with in general. There were so many abilities that I didn't know I was missing out on simply because I wasn't advancing the main story. And so I spent countless hours spending time with my Pokemon, increasing their stats, increasing the way that they were interacting with each other, and changing up things, making my own big house. And yet, I could have been doing so much more. But in my opinion, that is the sign of a really, really good game, is when you want to continue to interact with its core mechanic over and over and over again, and you couldn't even care less if you progress that main story. The main story itself is very enticing. In fact, I'm very interested to see where this is going, because you play as Ditto, like I said earlier. You interact with Professor Tangrowth. Tangrowth is the guy that everyone looks up to in terms of knowledge. You're going to go to him, and he'll tell you what to do next. He's the guy that is basically your quest giver. Tangrowth was already there when you appeared in that cave as Ditto and were able to customize your avatar and everything like that, and he knows everything about the past, about humans. He seems to have retained all of his memories, and some of the other Pokemon act like this is their first day on Earth. So I wonder what's up with Tangrowth. I wonder if there's something going on with him. I'm sure there is, and I'm sure this mystery is going to be solved eventually, but essentially what the Pokemon want is for the humans to come back. All of a sudden, the Pokemon think that they're the best in the world and that they want to get everything back to how it was before the humans abandoned this place. And it is a mess. I mean, when you start, there is nothing. You look around, it is a complete wasteland, and the Pokemon Center is completely burnt down to the ground. It is in rubbles. There is nothing here but that. You find Squirtle at the very beginning of the game. You eventually get all of those Gen 1 starters. You gain their abilities. You get water, the ability to make bushes, and then you have Charmander follow you around and be able to use that fire wherever you need. Not long after, you'll find a Pokemon that you can use with their punching abilities, and you can break through rocks and start gathering materials, and then you get to crafting. Everything Animal Crossing New Horizons wanted to be with crafting, Picopia is, and more. You can craft so much stuff in this game, and it is absurd the amount of options you truly have to make. You can make anything you desire. I've not even really scratched the surface of this yet, but there is a whole electricity system that you can basically make your own city, make your own railroads, make your own everything. Gone are the days in Animal Crossing New Horizons when you would just get a lamp and you would put the lamppost down and boom, it turns on wherever it is. No, you're gonna have to connect everything together if you want it to function. But there are ways around this, right? You have glow mushrooms in these different caves that you can get, and you can collect them and craft some sort of lighting system just from those mushrooms alone. No electricity required. There's just so much to do, and this storyline keeps you engaged. It keeps you going along, and just the wholesome interactions that you have with these Pokemon spur you to want to give them the best environment possible. You want to help them. You want to see them succeed. You want to push that along. And I am like really scared to see how this story ends, because these Pokemon want so badly for the humans to come back, and I think they're gone. I think they're all dead. Maybe they went somewhere. Maybe they, I don't know, went into the ground or went up into space or something, but they seem to be gone and dusted. Maybe I'm reading into this, but like there is a gravestone at the very top of the withering area that you start in, and that to me seems pretty indicative of all the humans not being alive anymore. And this is also just a very cozy game. It's a very great game to unwind with at the end of a very stressful day, especially now in the midpoint of my senior semester, getting into a very, very busy and stressful time of my life. I am finding so much joy in just sitting down at the end of the night, sitting down on my couch. It's like 9-10 p.m. and start playing a little bit of Picopia just to get everything off of my mind and to not have to deal with some fast-paced game. Like sure, those games can be relaxing in their own right, but just slowly moving along, using a little bit of critical thinking, figuring out how you're going to get from point A to point B, and having these Pokemon appreciate you. Want you, and it's genuine. Animal Crossing, those villagers, I compared them already. Those villagers don't give a crap about you, to be honest. Like they do act nicely, and they act nicely between one another, but they couldn't care less about you at the end of the day. You disappear and you come back 10 years later and they're still milling around, doing their thing. In Picopia, I worry that if I'm gone for more than a week, these things are going to perish. We've talked a little bit about the story. I brushed up about how the Pokemon actually interact with you. Now let's talk even more in depth about the gameplay itself. Like I said earlier, you are able to collect different materials. You can break down rocks with your punching abilities. You can interact with the environment through your elemental abilities. Those types of things are going to help you progress the story. But personally, it's just satisfying to collect these things. It is satisfying to go out into the world and find random crap and be able to put it in your pockets, because you are able to have so much more inventory space in this game than Animal Crossing would ever dream of letting you have. Which in my opinion is absurd, because Animal Crossing has so much less space on the island to work with. Like, there is so fewer amount of things that you would collect in Animal Crossing compared to Picopia, and Picopia lets you have more space. Thank you. The one thing I miss compared from Animal Crossing to Picopia is in Animal Crossing, you go to your house and you have a storage system. You can just put it in your house and boom, it's in a menu. You can come back forth anytime. In Picopia, there are little storage boxes and you can get one little box and then eventually you get a bigger one and it's like 3 different menus that you can slide through to use those boxes. Those are fine, but they are not at all as convenient as the storage system in Animal Crossing. And I think that's kind of by design. I think they genuinely want you to think more about what you're putting and where and why, not just have it in blah, one big menu and then you just roll through it and come back and forth whenever you want. It's actually a very refreshing piece of design that I really do appreciate, but sometimes I just wish it was all compiled in one area. One big drop-down menu is much more convenient than going from box to box to box, trying to remember where you put that dang piece of ore, or if a Pokemon wants you to raise their comfort level, which is a big mechanic in this game, making all of your Pokemon happy, raising their different stats with you and seeing how high they can go, how much they love you, depends on what you give them. And sometimes I'll be looking for a piece of furniture or some sort of thing that they want to hang on their wall for decoration, some sort of piece of flour, and it's in a box. And I don't remember which box it's in, but I gotta grab it and I gotta give it to them because they want to be happier. And I'll be danged if I don't make them happier. That mechanic, kind of going on a side trail here though, is a little bit annoying sometimes because they will ask you for different types of food, right? Some of them will be like, I want sweet food, I want sour food. And starting off in the early part of the game, it's very confusing to understand what exactly they're looking for because you haven't had access to cooking yet. Now, of course, eventually you will be able to get more food, more cooking abilities, and give it back to them later. But at first, I was just very frustrated by how early on in the game it was telling me, oh, I want this type of food, and I had no way of getting it to them. Or another thing that I'm kind of stuck on right now, there is a mole type Pokemon that wants to be in the dark, and it says that its environment is too light filled, and I made him a little cave. I made him a little dirt area in which he could go in, and he didn't like it. Like, I came back and he was like, it's not dark enough. And I don't know literally how to make it more dark than an entirely enclosed area. Another random complaint is that when you are working with Pokemon centers to try to rebuild them, or if you're working on any sort of thing that you want to rebuild or build up to begin with, no rebuilding, just straight building with houses or something like that, there are different types of materials that they ask you to bring to this one spot and different types of Pokemon that are going to need to work on that specific building. That is all good and well. I really do appreciate being able to bring all the Pokemon over there, having to go find them and intentionally interact with them, then collecting the actual material need. It's very satisfying. But the annoying part has been for me actually with the Pokemon, interacting with these Pokemon and bringing them back to these centers. It's inconsistent as heck. Like, you will go over to it and you'll look at it and it'll be like, okay, you need 8 Pokemon, and you try to remember, okay, all 8, I think I got 5, let me go get the 5. You bring the 5 back over and then you look and it's 3 different Pokemon, and sometimes 2, and sometimes 1. It's very inconsistent. You'll go back and forth, and maybe this is me just being crazy and going through psychosis, but I genuinely believe that I will go up and it'll be like 8 Pokemon. I'll bring 5 over and then I'll come back and it'll say, actually, you only need 6, and the one you need is a totally different one than I told you it was before. And it's like, what in the world? Why are we resetting what we need? Sometimes that's nice because there are some Pokemon that I have working on something else, and I'll come back and it says, oh, actually, you didn't need that one. You needed a different one. And I'm like, cool, now I don't have to wait on the other one to start building this. And maybe that's the design there, but it feels inconsistent because there have been times when all the Pokemon were free. No one was working on anything, and I go and it changes its mind. I bring one over, and I literally brought one time that it told me to bring, and it wasn't the right one. It wasn't the one that I literally remembered seeing. I think the fact that I am literally talking and gushing and complaining about a Pokemon game is actual evidence for you to buy this game. Should you buy this game? Do I recommend this to you or not? Well, I can't necessarily answer that question for you, but what I can do is recommend it to different types of crowds, and let's see which crowd you fall in. This is the crowd I fall in, and I couldn't have believed a year ago that you would told me that this was my game of the year so far, that it would be the case, but here we are. This crowd is the type of crowd that didn't like any sort of Pokemon game, didn't really care about the series before this game, didn't really care anything about Game Freak or wanted to interact with this game at all, thought the game was too expensive. If any of that sounds familiar, this game is still gonna be for you. This game is essentially Dragon Quest Builders mixed with Minecraft, mixed with Animal Crossing New Horizons and the entirety of those series. It's just a cozy game in which you can go around, you can get different materials, you can build stuff, you build up interactions, you build relationships with your Pokemon, and you make the world your own. You can spend all the time in the world building up this area, making houses, making these incredible landscapes, or you can just leave it as it is and do whatever it takes to make the story better and then progress that story until you get to the very end. I know a lot of people that say that Animal Crossing isn't really for them because of how much customization you have to partake in for that. There is definitely some forced customization here, but it's not nearly as much in my opinion, and it isn't all about that. There are different quest lines and different things that don't revolve around customization, that don't revolve around decorating. If you're not that type of guy, if you're not that type of gamer, then you don't have to worry about this. This is going to be the game for you still, because those quest lines will keep you engaged. One of my biggest criticisms of Animal Crossing New Horizons was after a certain point, the main story just totally dies off and all the main buildings that you're creating don't really matter anymore, and it comes down to you just doing whatever you want to do on a daily basis. You make your own challenges. Now sure, eventually in Picopia and eventually in any game, if you want to keep playing it over and over again, you're going to have to make your own fun. But here I find that it is so much easier for me to have fun with this game however I want, however I'm feeling. Because I'll sit down and sometimes I'll be like, man, screw that story. I just want to do what I want to do. I want to build up all these towns. I want to do what I want to do with these Pokemon. I want to help out some people. I want to make some more habitats. I'll just do whatever I want. And then there are some times I'm just like, I could not care less right now. My creativity is totally burned out. I just want to progress a story. I want to read some dialogue and let the game come to me. And I do that. And that is so much fun. That is when I ended up progressing that Onyx storyline where you're having to make it rain and you got to bring this bulldozer guy over here to help recreate the Pokemon Center. There's so much variety to experience in Pokemon Picopia. And that's the name of the game. To be honest with you, that's the name of the game. It is variety. You get to do whatever you want. You get all kinds of different environments. You can go down a linear path. You can do whatever you want in terms of exploring. It'll cut you off at a certain point and say, no, you can't go that far yet, but it is still pretty much open to you what you want to do. The game will not punish you for playing a certain way. You will have fun however you want to play. If you just want to sit back all day and bulldoze through the 200 plus habitats that you can unlock to get all these different Pokemon and hundreds of Pokemon, if you just want to fill out your Pokedex and make the world even more full, you can do that. If you want to progress that storyline to the very end and see what happened with these humans, see what's going on with Tangrowth and all these different Pokemon you're encountering, you can do that as well. There's so much to do. Unlimited opportunities. And if you don't like this game, I think the one type of person that would not like Pokemon Picopia is the type of person that says the core gameplay just isn't fun for them. If they don't like the idea of crafting, if they don't like the idea of collecting materials and being able to think ahead on these things, that's understandable. Like, there are people out there that don't like Minecraft, believe it or not. If you're not a huge fan of Minecraft, then nah, you probably won't like this game. But if you're a big fan of Pokemon, even if you aren't a big fan of Pokemon, if you're a big fan of Animal Crossing, Minecraft, Dragon Quest, any of these games, this will be for you. I already talked a little bit about how big of a deal Picopia is in one of my recent videos this past weekend I released. I want you to go check that out as soon as possible because, man, this game is special. This is something that is driving people to buy Switch 2s. And you don't need me to tell you how great this game is for it to be true. It is so incredibly amazing. This is one of those special games that only releases like every 5 to 10 years. This is a true system seller for the Nintendo Switch 2, and Nintendo probably didn't anticipate it, but here we are, as they didn't anticipate it back in 2020 with Animal Crossing New Horizons. Picopia is reaching the same levels of hype and success, and hopefully it stays sustained. But this time, we didn't even need a worldwide virus, thank God. So if you enjoyed Picopia, if you enjoyed this video, if you want to know anything more about this game, let me know down in the comments below. Leave a comment, tell me what you think about the game, or if there's anything you want to know before you buy. If you did enjoy today's video, make sure you like and subscribe it. Make sure you click that notification bell to know exactly when my videos release. Make sure you join my membership program, a couple bucks a month, just to help support me as a content creator. If you did enjoy this video, make sure you click on the left side of your screen to see my breakdown of Gen 10 wins and waves, and click on the right side of your screen to see my talk about Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green to see all of the price debacle I debated back in that video. $20 is not that much money, but thank you so much for making it to the very end. Make sure you have yourself a phenomenal Picopia loving day. This has been Ray's Nintendo Talk. I have been Ray, and I will see you all in the next video.